guys, Bitmaster here. Welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I wanted to give you guys just a quick overview and demo of the ICS sockets, Internet Component Suite by Overbyte. Again, guys, this is yet another socket tutorial, just a basic tutorial to show you guys how to connect sockets up and manage multiple clients and be able to send and receive messages to and from both the server as well as the clients, like multiple clients, right? One server, multiple clients. Alright, so basically what you'll need to do is get two programs started up, the server and the client. So go ahead and pause the video if you have to. But basically all I've done so far is just create two projects, two VCL form applications, one server and one is client. And what you need to do once you get the servers saved and ready to roll, you'll slap yourself down a WSocket server component. So if you let me do a search for that real quick. So there's two different editions of this. You have one with a lock on it, which supports SSL encryption, and then I'm just using the regular one. So because this is just a demo, I'm not trying to protect sensitive data or anything like that. So this is just basically a raw server with whatever data we choose to send over it. So get yourself one of these, slap it down, and then you will come over to the client and make sure that you get a WSocket. So you can type in WSock, and then you're going to want to get the TW socket and drag and drop it down. Okay, guys? So once you've done this, we need to basically more or less go ahead and start the process of starting up the actual server itself. So to do this, I'm going to double click the form, which takes us to the on-form create event procedure. For those of you who didn't know how to get there already, you can click on the form to select it, go to events, go down to on-form create, and just double click in the blank area. Yours will be blank like this, so just double click it and it'll automatically create you a procedure for form create. So when the program loads, we want the server to start up listening. So how do we do this? It's very simple. You'll just type in self.wsocketserver1 and then we're going to go proto for protocol, which is a string. We're going to do TCP, and then self.wsocketserver and then we're going to do a port number, which is a string. Why the guy created it that way is beyond me, but okay. So there's 3434 for our socket server. And then we need the address, so self.wsocketserver1.address, which is apparently just ADDR, for short for address, I'm guessing. And then we're going to type in localhost, because this is actually for our localhost machine. Now you can also type 127.0.0.1, and if you're behind a router and you want to do this outside of your local area network, obviously you would put your public IP here, right? And make sure you're port forwarded on, in this case, port 3434 or whatever port you put. Okay. So then we're going to type in self.wsocketserver1. So we did the port address, and also with these I find that there's actually like a really cool thing you can do. It's called line mode. I'm going to skip it for now because I don't think we'll actually need it for our demo, but I'll talk more about this so-called line mode later in the project while we're programming, okay? So for now, we're just, like I said, we're just getting the basic setup. So TCP 3434, the address. Oh, and actually, this is actually going to need something different. Hang on just a second here, guys. Make sure we do this correct. So we have the proto. The address should go here, self.wsocketserver.address. And we want to bind the address, not an actual... not your local host, guys. I'm just being silly. It's 0.0.0.0 for any. That way it'll bind to this address on our computer, which should listen on all... you guys, you know what I'm talking about. Like it'll listen on port 3434 on your machine and accept any connection from any adapter. So 0000. So now that we've got that taken care of, generally, guys, I'm going to explain this real quick. Generally, this WSocket server here, it has its own properties and events. And its own events are like when the client connects, when the client gets created, when the client disconnects. And this is all fine and dandy and all, but essentially, to do what we're trying to do, we kind of want to take charge of that ourselves. So what we'll do to kind of take over the socket and be able to create our own kind of events for it, if you will, we're going to do self.wsocketserver1 dot and the client class. So the client's class is going to be kind of an overrided class. Like we're gonna use something that the developer provided to us in some of his demos to show us how to take over the socket and or take over each client socket connection to better handle them by ourselves, kind of, so to speak. So for the client class, we're going to put this to TTCPSRV client, and that is his own special type. Now it's going to show red because we haven't actually included it yet, but we're just going to leave it like that for now, okay? So now we're done setting up the server. That's pretty much it. Self.wsocketserver.listen. That's literally all you got to do. So now we're going to listen. This is going to be a TCP server. It's going to listen on all addresses. It's going to listen on port 3434. And we're going to be waiting for people or clients to connect in, right? Follow me so far, guys? Okay, so now that we've got that, let's go back up here and we're going to make that type because this is red right here. So I want to make this clear that you just type the word type, and then we're going to do TCP SRV client, and this is going to be a type of class of TW socket client. And then we're going to have it public, and it could also have its own private if you want, but in this case all we need are two separate things. We're going to have RCVD line, and I'll comment that this is the data received by the client as a string, and then we have nickname, because we're going to assign each individual person that connects to us a unique nickname. And that's actually going to be generated on their side. We're not going to do it on ours. But anyway, okay, so there's that. So now that we have this set up to be able to listen, and we've changed our client class to this, we're going to start setting up events for this class. So now that we've listened, we're going to have to kind of mess with our GUI a bit. So we need a place to determine like where these people are going to show up, right? So let's grab ourselves a ListView, okay? And let's also grab ourselves a memo. So I'm going to throw down a memo and a ListView. Now I'm going to pull the ListView up like so, and just kind of get it aligned where you guys can kind of see what the hell I'm doing. And we're going to edit the columns of the list view. Again, guys, if I'm going too fast for you, you can always pause. To get to the columns, you have two options. You can go over here to properties, and you can scroll all the way up to where it says columns, and you can double click right here, or click the ellipsis button, the dot, and that'll bring this little menu up. For me, I'm lazy. I like to go the shortest route possible, which is to right click the component and go to columns editor. It's instant. See how fast it is to be able to get in there? Boom, 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 right? And we're going to add two things in here. So I click add twice, and I'm going to select these, and I'm going to go auto size to true. And I'm going to click on the first one so that only the first one is selected, which is 0 index one, right? Caption of this is going to be IP address. And the second one is going to be nickname. So then we're going to go all the way to the bottom of the properties on the list view one, and we're going to make the view style report. And that is that. Now we're going to resize our memo, make it just a little bit better lined up here for what we're going to be doing with it. This is going to be kind of received message output, if you will. So on the memo, let's go to the lines property and get rid of that. So it clears it out, and essentially all you're left with is just a blank memo. Okay. Also, if you would like to, you can also put read only. You can put scroll bars to vertical. That way you can scroll up and down the text as you receive it. And that's that. Now I'm going to give this a little theme. In fact, we're going to go ahead and do this for both projects. So go ahead and do project options, go down to appearance, and let's give it like, I don't know, let's give it a theme. I'll do aqua graphite. At least that way it'll kind of look, alright, I guess. So now we got a nicer looking, nicer looking project there, right guys? And we're gonna save that. Let's do the same with this one, just for the sake of it, right? For shits and gigs, right? Click options, project options. So project options, appearance, and we're gonna do this whole aqua graphite thing again. I'm gonna hit save. Now I'm gonna save this. All right. Now on the client, I'm also going to grab a memo. I'm going to throw it down on there, and I'm going to go to the lines property, just like we did on the other one, and I'm going to clear it out. And we're going to have that kind of there, and then I'll just pop that down there. Okay, great. Looks good to me. I try to line this stuff up as best I can, guys, but I'm not being too super picky about it. Okay, I'm going to save that. So now we're back on the server, okay? So we're going to need a pop-up menu. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. So pop-up, so look for a pop-up. This is a pop-up menu. We're going to drag and drop it. And then we're going to go to the list view, where we're going to then assign that pop-up menu to be pop-up menu 1. So just double click that, or you can click down on this on the combo selection, and you can actually just click pop-up menu 1. And then, so now the pop-up menu 1 is assigned to the list view, so when you run the program and you right-click on the list view, it'll show this menu, which we're going to design right now. So double-click on your pop-up menu, bring up the form designer, and in there I'm going to put send hello to all, and then I'm going to make this one send hello to selected only. Alright, and just like our other socket examples, guys, this is very basic stuff. Not trying to confuse anyone. We're going to keep it really stupid and simple. So let's go ahead and move over to our client and start doing a little programming here. The client is essentially the easiest portion to program. It's literally less than 80 lines of code. At least in terms of what we write, it's actually probably less than, I don't know, close to 10, maybe 20. So on this portion, we're going to, whenever the form gets created, we're going to need to make this socket, this is going to become a client socket, and it's going to connect to our server socket right here, right guys? So let's, here, hang on a minute, I didn't mean to move that around on you guys. There, much better. Okay, so on the client, on form create, let's go to events, and then on create, double click, go in here. So set up the client socket to connect to our server endpoint, whatever. And so I'm going to say self.wsocket1.proto, which is the protocol, is TCP. By the way, guys, just so you know, I'm going to comment this. Could be TCP, UDP, or even raw. So you can use TCP protocol, UDP protocol, or even raw, which I honestly, guys, I've never used just plain raw before. I honestly have no clue how it works. I guess we could look into his source code and find out what it does. I'm guessing it's just a raw socket connection that just, like, doesn't need TCP or UDP. Like, it just shoots raw T-bytes of data? I mean, I have no idea. But anyway, it's interesting that we actually have that option here, but I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to use TCP. So then we're going to do everything we did on the other side. So self.wsocket1.port. It's going to be a string of 3434 because that's the one we're trying to connect to. And then self.wsocket1.address. This, however, is going to be the address that we're trying to connect to, which is localhost in this case. You can also type the word localhost if it can resolve properly to 127.0.0.1. Now, this is where I was going to talk to you guys about line mode. So let me explain something. I'm going to kind of go out to the side here where you guys can see this. So let's say this is a line of some really cool, awesome text. Whatever. So let's say that this is a string, right? When dealing with sockets, sockets essentially, depending on how they're written, they'll receive bytes, like T-bytes of data. In the case of strings, I'm sure like some of you guys have probably used like system.net.sockets if you're using .NET, stuff like that. Essentially what happens is you'll take this string, convert it to an array of bytes, and send it over the socket. But some sockets, depending on if they're just depending on how they're written, you have to get the length of it all. You sometimes so that the opposite endpoint socket, in this case the server, would know how much to expect. We don't actually have to do that here. There's actually a kind of a cool trick, and that's why I was trying to tell you guys earlier. There's a line mode property. So if we type self.wsocket1.line mode, we want to turn that to true. So now then, let me explain kind of what that kind of entails. If you go back to the client socket and select it, go to properties, you see this line end thing right here. It has hashtag 1310. This is just the basic CLRF ending line string, and it's pretty much the same in almost every program, or at least every native programming language I've ever heard of. 1310 is usually the kind of go-to thing, right? So what basically this will do is if this was sent by the server to us, if the server appended a plus hashtag 13 hashtag 10 at the end of this text, then the socket could understand that this was a single packet of data, and it will stop receiving at this point and just consider this the entirety of a line stringed message that was sent by the opposite endpoint socket. So really cool stuff, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing from now on in this project. So I've turned that on, so line mode is now true, so we're expecting hashtag 13, hashtag 10 at the end of every sent string of data, text, line, whatever you want to call it. And that's that. So what I'll do now is, since the line end is already here, just to be safe, I want to code it in. So I'll just do self.wsocket.line end. I'm actually going to put this to that. So there you have it. So line end will be 1310, and then I'm going to simply connect the socket, self.wsocket1.connect, and that's it. So guys, this is how you would set up an ICS client-based socket. You set the protocol, you set the port to connect on, you set the IP address you're connecting to. Set line mode to true is a very good practice, and if you read through the documentation, also the gentleman who wrote these sockets also says line mode is a very good practice to just turn it all on all the time. Line end can be whatever you would like in here. However, I do recommend leaving it at hashtag 13, hashtag 10. You can make it whatever your heart desires. You don't have to stick with hashtag 1310. If you got some special characters or something you guys want to change that to, you can, as long as it properly represents the end of something you're sending, right? And then you just simply connect the socket, and that's that. All right, so now then, we're going to come back here and we're going to do some event programming. So we have the client socket is able to connect when I run it now. However, we're not going to do any error checking. We're not going to do any retry statements. We're not going to try to continuously make the socket connect. We're not going to worry about this. This is a basic tutorial. I'm not going to take it into too far depth, and besides, that's really easy, simplistic stuff that anyone can figure out. I'll update the source. The source will also be included in the description of this video, but for now, let's go ahead and get this continued here. So on the socket event of connected, we need to make sure that something happens. So whenever the session is connected officially, we're going to do something. So essentially, this is where when the client socket makes a valid connection to us, to the server, we can do something, right? And in this particular case, we're going to want to do a variable, random nickname, which will just be a string. So then here, what we'll do is we're simply going to go ahead and make a random nickname, and then we're going to set our caption to our nickname so that way we know who we are up here. So that's client, and then it'll say our nickname, and then we'll just kind of go from there, right? So what we shall do is here, we're going to type in randomize, and then we are going to type in random nickname. Sorry guys, I didn't mean to get my mouse in the way there. Sometimes when you do that, it pops up that tooltip help window crap, blocks you from programming. So the random nickname, which if you guys want me to keep that kind of looking the same there, we'll just do is going to be equal to user, and then we'll do like a plus, and we'll just do int to str, int to string, so we're converting an integer to a string. We're going to just randomize from 1000, and that's going to be that. So now our randomized nickname is random. It's just going to be user and a random number from 0 to 1000, right? So now we're going to do self.caption is going to be equal to client, and then a pipe, and then a plus, and we're going to put our random nickname, and I'm just going to be lazy about it. Okay, and that's that, and at this point, we can simply close this line out, go to the next one. Then we're going to send our nickname and our connection information over to the server so he can display us properly, right? So we're going to say self.wsocket1.sendString, and it's expecting raw byte string inside of there. So we are just literally going to throw it in because apparently it can do Unicode string or raw byte string. So what I'll put inside there will just be new con, just as we've done in all of our other examples that I've shown you guys, and our random nickname. And then we're also going to have to append, remember guys, we're going to have to append the hashtag 13, hashtag 10. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it right there. That's that. Right? Follow me so far? So once the client makes a connection, we're going to get ourselves a nickname and throw it over to the server, right? So now that we've done that, we're also going to need to do we're also going to need to make like a way to send messages. So I will put a button down here because we want to be able to talk to the server too, right? So we're going to put right here button 1. This will be send MSG, and we'll just pull that right up there, and we're going to grab ourselves an edit box. So here's the edit box, clear that out, and that will be that. So on the button click, we're going to need to go ahead and do self.wsocket1.sendString, and we're going to send a command of message with a pipe, and then we're going to do plus self.edit1.text. And don't forget, guys, every time we send something that's string related, that's just bare bone basic, can be sent in a small single packet, we have to append the hashtag 13, hashtag 10. So there you have it. Now we've sent the message. Now we would like to say self.memo1.lines.add. You said, and then edit 1.text. Oops. And then we're going to come down and we're going to self.edit1.clear and self.edit1.setFocus. That's it. So now then, we're done with the sending button and all that cool stuff. So now what we can do is we can do the last thing for the client. We're done with the client is the data available. So whenever we receive data from the server, this is what's going to happen. So we're going to go to our events on the WSocket here, and you're going to look for on data available. So I believe, let's take a look here. Session available, blah, blah, blah. Limit exceeded. Yeah, it's definitely on data available. So, and it's going to give us a sender, which is a T object to play with, and an error code, which is a word. Okay, so not too much to play with. Honestly, kind of sucky, to be honest. But I think we can probably work with this. So we'll just make a couple of variables to play with. First of all, we have to receive whatever so-called data that it claims is available, right? So we'll do received data, which is going to be a string, obviously. And then we also need a way to parse our data. So I'm going to create a string list. So we'll do the received data is going to essentially be equal to receiving data. So I'm guessing we can type wsocket1.receive text. Oh, there's receive string. That'll probably do it. Yeah, we'll just do that. So that receives a string. And then, so now we've received whatever data from the socket, and we're able to go ahead and try to go through it and parse through it. So we know that we would like to receive commands with pipes and stuff. So that's why I'm making a string list. So we'll do SL is equivalent to tstring list.create, and then we're going to do a try statement, and we're going to put sl.delimiter. It's going to be a pipe. sl.strict delimiter is true. And then we're going to do sl.delimited text, which is obviously going to be equal to whatever data we just received, right, guys? And then we're going to come down and say if sl0. So if the first part of that equals msg, then begin. All right, so let me control D this so it looks a little nicer, guys. Okay, so if the first part of the message is message, then obviously we're receiving a text message from the server, right? So we're going to say memo one.lines.add, and we're going to say server says plus and then SL1. And that's going to be that. Now we can exit out of this at this point. We don't really need to go any further. But finally down here, we do want to SL.free, because we've created it outside anyway, and we don't want to mess that up. So that's that, guys. That's pretty much it for the entirety of the client. The client is fully done. It was literally what did I say? It was like an auto-generated code, like is all this crap. For the most part, I mean, we wrote, what, like 15, 20 lines of code, if that. Absolutely amazing and super quick to understand. So now that we've done that, we can essentially, I believe that's pretty much it, guys. We really don't need to worry about much more. If you want to give it some output, you're more than welcome to. So like down here, you can say self.memo1.lines.add connecting to server, just some output, just some basic output and stuff for this. And then there's going to be for the connected event procedure, you can say self.memo1.lines.add connected to server. Something like that. And then if you want also, you can click on the socket, go to the event of on session closed. Let's look for any other thing in here that could mean disconnected, but I'm sure it's session closed. Yeah, it's going to be session closed. Okay, so session closed. And again, they're allowing us to have a sender, was it a T object type and the word, which, we'll just do memo1.lines.add. If it fires properly, then obviously this will work anyway. Disconnected from server. And that's really, just a single liner should do it for it, guys, okay? So now then, we're done with the client. Client is finished. Let's go ahead and hop over to the server. This is going to be the biggie. So we've already got a lot set up though. Like I've already shown you guys, we've got our initial type here for our, this is a type class for each client that comes in. So for each client that comes in, we have a lastly received line of string data they sent to us, and we also have their nickname. And this can be looked up in memory extremely fast. It helps us loop through the clients and be able to figure out, who they are and what their IP address is and what their connection info is, and be able to send and receive to and from each client, right? So let's go ahead and do this. So we got that part of it set up. We've also got set up where you start the form, like when you run the program, it automatically starts listening on port 3434 for all client connections that are trying to come in. For the server, I do not want a banner, so I'm going to delete the text they automatically put in there. And I'm also going to delete the too busy banner too, because I don't really care about that either. If the client has any, which I don't think it does, it might. Yeah, there's no need to do anything on the client. So just the server, you might erase the banner information and the too busy message if you don't want those, okay? I don't like it doing it because whenever you try to connect the client up, it automatically sends a banner string and a too busy string if it's too busy. I don't like that, so I remove it. That's what I'm doing here. I'm just explaining the logic, okay, guys? All right, so now that we've got this going, once the program starts, we're listening, we're able to receive stuff. We need to start going through some basic events, if you will. So to do this, we've taken over the socket and placed it into this class, like I said before, and we have this 2 bits of info that we're able to deal with. The sad part about this is that it's not just as simple as clicking on the socket, going to events, and actually clicking on this stuff, unfortunately. So what we essentially have to do is we have to create some events by ourselves, by hand, which really freaking sucks. But we have to do it because with this class being taken over, us allowing this class to take over our socket connections, we have to create events for this type class. To do this, the gentleman who wrote these sockets actually already wrote some of these events for us. We just have to basically import them, basically. Well, we have to type them out, but you get the point. It works. So we're going to go down to our private declarations because that's where these need to belong. And we're going to have to type these out, okay? So rather than, there used to be like a shortcut key. I've totally forgot which shortcut key it was to get them to automatically populate down below too. So I apologize for that, guys. I'm just going to have to type these out, basically. To save a little time on the video, I will go ahead and just simply copy from some text that I have here on one of his demos. So on the private declarations of your project, just make sure that you have all of these typed in exactly as I do here. I'll do Control D as well so you guys kind of see that. The reason mine are showing as red, guys, again, is because I haven't made a declaration. So yeah, I keep forgetting the key code for this. There used to be a thing where you just tap 3 characters on your keyboard and all of these get instantly created down below. It would be useful as hell if I could remember the combo, but I don't know it, so whatever. So basically, the first one is for data available. So whenever the client sends data, we're going to be able to receive it in this. And then there's an exception. This one really is just kind of if something goes wrong, to or from the socket connections, we can display like an error exception message, right? And then the client line limit exceeded. This is like I told you guys earlier about setting here, like on the client, for example, where we set the line property to true, like where we put, let's see here, line mode to true. That is kind of a thing for that as well. So like if we have a line limit exceeding thing, we can tell it, hey, this is not good. Like we didn't want that or whatever. We probably won't even use the exception or the line limit exceeded one. Probably just the data available, to be honest. But I just wanted you guys to understand what these things do. Okay, so let's get to it. So down in the code, basically, we're going to have to start with the first one. I really hate typing these things out. But essentially, let's just go ahead and do the exception one first. It's probably really, really simple. So procedure tform1 dot, and for this, we're going to go, let me copy. Yeah, let me see if I can. just copy one of these from my other text. To make this go a lot faster, guys, I do have some code here. I'm just going to paste this in, so that way I don't have to sit here and write this all out, literally. So, as you can see, I created a procedure for tform1, which is called client BG exception. And the only thing it does, like here, we can just erase this. The only thing it does is it basically, it tells the clients, like, can close property that it can go away. So the client basically goes away, right? If there's an error, we disconnect the client that caused the error, right? Okay, so now we're going to have to do the data available. So I'll go ahead and copy that as well, but I'm not going to actually finish it. I'm going to write that out because I got stuff to explain to you guys. So we'll do var begin and all that stuff. So we're going to go ahead and start programming this. So let's go ahead and do this. I'll copy the last one just to make it quick. So let's go underneath here and paste this. So this one is for the line limit exceeded. So we're going to clear the data with sender as TCP server client. So with the current client, we're going to clear their data and we're going to close. We're going to set their data to clear, which is obviously this. So we're going to clear their data out of any buffer stuff that they may have coming in to us, right, the server. And then we're going to close the connection because they exceeded their line limit. So we're going to basically say, no, we know that this client can't possibly be programmed by us. It's also a way to thwart other people from trying to like scan your stuff, and if they're sending too much fuzz data or whatever, you can knock them out of there and not let them stay connected and stuff. But you really should have something better than this programmed in for security purposes. But anyway, on client data available, let's get back to it, guys. So this is the meat of the server right here. We're going to do a client, which is going to be a TCP SRV client, and we're going to have RCVD line, which is a string, and we're also going to have SL, which is a T-string list. All right, so we are now set up to begin receiving data from a client. So we're going to, first off, we're going to set a client that we want to be able to mess with is going to be equivalent to the sender, which is a T object, right? So copy sender. So we're going to do, that is going to be a sender and we're going to set that sender as a TCP server client, which, by the way, guys, is what I told you right up here. It's this class. That's why I labeled the A client that we're messing with this type, so we can lock on to our class and loop the connections. And that's exactly what we're going to do now. So to do this properly, now that we have a lock onto the person that actually sent the data, they're the sender in a way. You see what I'm trying to get at, right? So when this fires, we're talking to only the client that sent the data that's now available to us. Sender becomes that client that we're messing with, that sent us the stuff. We have a lock on that person or that client. Kind of get what I'm getting at there, guys? So now if we want to mess with that person or that client, we call a client dot do something to that person, right? It's that simple. So at this point, we're going to do RCVD line is going to be equivalent to, and remember, we're messing with what now, guys? We're messing with a client, right, dot receive string. And so we're getting the message that they sent to us, which could potentially be other types of data, but in this case, we're simply messing with string data, right? Just keeping it real super simple for you guys. So receive data is just a string, and we are going to have to do a little effort here, unfortunately. Strip off the hashtag 13 hashtag 10. Sorry about that. We have to strip this off. It kind of freaking sucks, but oh well. I could do a simple string replace here, but I found that doing it this other way is just as nice. We'll do while the length, so we'll do while length of received line is greater than 0, and the character in set, so while the character's in here, and then we're going to go length of the received line, we're going to do hashtag 13, hashtag 10, there you have it. So, and I don't think I spelled length right. Sorry about that, guys. My spelling is absolutely terrible these days. So while we're saying that while the length of the received line is greater than 0, and the characters in the set of the received line, hashtag 13, hashtag 10, so if these are in there, we're going to delete them out, okay? So we're going to literally say delete, and then we're going to go RCVD line, comma, length, RCVD line 1. And that's that. That will, these two lines right here will always ensure that the hashtag 1310 end line is completely nullified. It will be erased, destroyed, deleted. Now we can do tstring list.create like we've always done in the past, and we're going to do a try statement. So there's a try and a finally and all that. We're going to say sl.delimiter is equal to a pipe. Whoops. And then the sl.strict delimiter is going to be true. And then sl.delimited text is obviously going to be the received line, RCVD line. Oops. RCVD line. All right. So then we're going to come down, and we're going to start writing out some stuff down here for different commands we can do. So obviously, the first command we'll do is if SL0 is equivalent to message, then we're going to receive a message from this person. So memo1.lines.add, and then that's going to be a client.nickname. So this person here, this just sent us the message, right? Says plus SL1, which is the message. And that's that. Then we're going to come down and exit. Now, let's come down here and Control D that. If SL0 is equal to new connection, then we're going to do something else. Now, what we will do is we're going to say with ListView one.items. Oops, sorry guys, let me make sure I'm doing this right. We will say with ListView one.items.add do begin, Control D. We're going to say that the caption of that list item is going to be a client.peer-IP or peer address. Okay, and then we're going to do subitems.add, and we're going to do SL1, which should be their nickname, right? Sent to us by the client. Now, what we can do is basically, after we've got that done, we want to come down to this line, because we also have a fine-tuned control over their class that we've allowed to take over the socket communication between each client. So we have a nickname here, right? So we've said that when they newly connect in, we're saying add their IP address to the list view here. And we're also saying also add whatever data is in SL1, which should be their nickname, right? Follow me so far? But the one thing we haven't done is more or less inject the nickname into our class type for that specific client connection. So we have to finish it off. So after we've added the items, which is just the caption and the nickname of the person, we come down And we're going to then simply say a client dot nickname is now equivalent to SL1. And that's it. We've put it in there. We're good to go. We're going to exit that out. We're also going to put an SL.free here. So that's that. So there you have it, guys. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. So now we've got the ability to accept messages from people. We've got the ability to add them. The only thing that we do need to do is kind of like do like a disconnect, if you will. So to do that, we actually do have a little something we can do. And we are going to be able to set this up on the disconnect event of this actual server socket component. So on the client, and we're also going to do, we might do on client connect, I don't know. We'll do on client disconnect for now, okay? So on the on client disconnect, we want to create a couple of variables here. The first variable that we would like to make is going to obviously be a client, which is a TTCP server client. So just like this, okay? Because we have to be able to see who we're picking at, right? So there's the integer that we're going to be using for localized looping. So to start things off, we're going to have to basically try to lock on to the person that has been sent to us. In this case, it's actually the client. And you know what, guys? Actually, come to think about it, let's take these, copy them. I'm actually doing this incorrectly. This is not necessary. Save that, let it go away. We want to probably do this on, let me think about it a minute. Sorry, guys, I'm not really used to these sockets. I think this will be fine. We'll just leave it the way it was, okay? So come here, do variables, put those back the way we had them. Control D that. Let's just leave it how it is and see how it goes. A client is going to be equal to client as TTCP serve client. And then, now that yeah, I think this is it, because we're having the client here. So that sets that to that. Yeah, that should do it, guys. So now we have locked on to the person who's essentially trying to disconnect, right? Follow me so far? So now we're going to write a for loop for I is equal to, and we're going to put this to 0 to a high of, I think we could probably just use the ListView count, honestly. We'll just say ListView one dot items dot count minus 1. Yeah, we'll just do minus 1. Do begin. Hang on a minute here, guys. Okay, so now we're going to begin looping through all of our stuff or whatever. So essentially, if someone disconnects, let me show you the GUI here. If someone disconnects, we want to remove them from the list view, right? So inside of this, you can simply put, we're looping through these people if list view one dot items and then the index of the person or item we're looping over I dot sub items 0, which is going to be their nickname, right, is equivalent to the A client that's currently disconnecting's nickname. Then we want to come and say begin, Control D. So then we're going to basically delete that person. So list view one dot item, we'll just do list view one dot items dot delete an index, which is going to be our I index that we're currently looping over, right? And then we're going to break because we don't need to continue looping if there's no reason to. I mean, why would we need to loop through every single fucking thing if we already deleted them? We want to break out of that, right? Okay, so there you have it. That's the disconnect. Let's, what do you say, guys? We just fire it up for shits and gigs and see what we got so far. So I'm going to go ahead and allow access to this. There's the server. I'm going to run the client. and there it is. It connected to the server almost immediately. However, nothing actually really happened here. So we're getting the user connection. So it looks like this is user 870. It automatically generated our random stuff. It said it was connecting to the server. It successfully connected to the server, blah, blah, blah. And that's that. So on to this portion. So whenever we have someone connect in, this is the tricky part, guys. You got to understand that the stuff at the top here that we just did for these private declarations, these procedures here, you have to assign these to each and every single different client socket connection that comes in. So in order to do that, we have to come to the server socket and on client, I think it's on client connect. So I think we'll come here. I think this is the client that we'll be able to mess with. So yeah, that's essentially it. Yeah, so right here, this is the important part that's going to make it all tie together and work. So basically, we're going to say with the client that we're currently messing with, we can do this as a TCP server client. Do begin. We're going to set up some parameters for this person. So get this, guys. Every time a client connects in, we're going to pass them to our class here, and we're going to make them all essentially they all get their own assigned events, right? So we're going to first turn line mode equivalent to true. We're then going to do just in case, if I think line edit can be true as well, just in case. And then the line limit. So line limit can be, I'm going to put that to -1. I don't really care how much we receive, so I'm just leaving it at -1. Then the event on data available, which is going to essentially be client data available. And then what we'll do is come on down. Let's make sure that I'm spelling these right, guys. I have them here. I'll just paste. So yeah, I misspelled them. So there you go. Basically, we have the on data available, which is now assigning the events client data available. If there's a line limit exceeded, this will be the event that handles that, and on an exception, we'll handle it there. Okay, guys? And that's pretty much it. That's literally it. That should fix everything. So now all of the code we just got through writing should automatically start working. Let's fire up the server just for shits and gigs and see what happens. So whenever the person connected in, as you can see, they connected in, and I got their IP and the user that they represent, right? And if I close that person out, they go away. You see that? Very nice. So the project is practically already done at this point. All we really have to do at this point is program in the hello to all, hello to, selected person only, and that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and get these bad boys rolling. We'll do the select to send to all broadcasting. We'll go ahead and set that up and see where we can get as far as that's concerned, okay? So it should be very, very basic. Let's just go ahead and create two variables. We're going to need an I, obviously, because we have to use this as a localized looping variable to loop through all of the connected clients. And then we're going to need a client that we're messing with, which is going to be a TTCP SRV client. God, I hate the way he named that naming convention for that. But anyway, that's what we got to do. So let's hop down here. And let's go ahead and do a for loop. For I is equal to a low to high, that's going to be a 0 to, and for the high on this, essentially, we're going to have to do the client count. So we're going to do wsocket server1 dot client count. Hey, has it? Yay! -1. So now we have the ability to go through this and deal with whatever we got to deal with. So a client is going to now be equivalent to the class type of the person's index that we're looking at. So TCP SRV client, which is a WSocket server 1.client, and it's the I index that we're currently looping over. So now we have a lock onto the client that we require. Let me make sure I spelled that correct. Okay, looks good. So now then, we're going to say a client dot send string. And on this, we're going to put MSG with a pipe hello. And that is it, my friends. This is a broadcaster. It will literally loop through every client and send a message, whatever you want. And you can change this up to however your heart desires. So now then, we're going to go and do the selected only, right? So on the selected only, we're going to have to do kind of an extra step, if you will. So let's make some variables here. So we have the selected client, which is going to be a T-list item in our list view, because we have to make sure that the user did in fact select a client to send to in the first place, right? So then we have to also mess with a client via their nickname, and we have to loop. So we have to have I as an integer for localized looping, a client, which is obviously a TCP SRV client, that we're passing our stuff into that class and whatnot, and then we have to have the client nickname, which is also a string that we're going to be messing with, and that's that. Okay, so now we have enough variables declared to run our code and deal with stuff. So in the first bit, we're going to have to say that the selected client is equivalent to ListView 1.selected. And that's that. Now, if assigned selected client, then we can do something with that person that's selected. So let's begin and end. So we're going to get the nickname of the person that we currently selected. So client's nickname is now equivalent to selected client dot subitems 0, which should be the selected person's nickname. Now we're going to come down and say for, and we're going to do ourselves a loop. So we're going to go from 0 to a high of WSocket server 1.client count minus 1 do begin. Control D. Okay, so let's go in between here where we need to be looping, and we're going to do this. So a client will now become equivalent to TCP SRV client WSocket server 1.client I, which means the person we're currently looping over, if a client dot nickname, let's do is equal to the client nickname that we captured earlier from the person we actually want to send to and selected in the first place, Control D. So now we're going to send a message to that person and break out of the loop. So a client dot send string MSG pipe, and we can just do hello. Well, let's do hello just to you, and then we'll come down and break out of that loop. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now at the bottom here, just in case you don't select someone, we'll do like something like this: no client selected, something like that. Okay, so that should do. Let's go ahead and run this thing real quick here, guys, and let's see what happens. So here's the server and here's the client, and as you can see, when the client runs and connects, we can click on this and we can right click on them, send to all, and send to only that person if we had properly selected them. Let's go ahead and close this out real quick though, guys, because we forgot that on the client is in line mode, and the server should also be in line mode. Therefore, when you send this stuff, you can't just send string and end it. You have to go like this. Let me copy this hashtag 13, hashtag 10. And this is what I was trying to tell you guys earlier. These sockets are a little weird. You gotta kind of remember to use this stuff properly. So I'm going to go all the way to the top and just search up send string. And every single time I'm sending a string, I'm also going to do a plus and that. So there's that and this. That's looking good, 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 good. Okay, great. So that is pretty much that. Now we can run this and run this. And I'm going to pop this over here for you guys. Let's go ahead and run the client one more time. And there you have it. Now we're connected. So another thing that drives me nuts here, I'll tell you what. Let me close this out real quick. This drives me nuts, guys. When people leave that shit and don't change it, it is so annoying. Make sure when you're messing with list views, you always put on the read-only and the row select property. That way it looks more professional when you click on items. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So when we run the client now, there's the client. And here's the server. See, when I click on them, look, it selects the whole row. Looks nice, right? So now I'm going to right-click on this guy, and I'm going to mass broadcast. And as you can see, the server says hello. I'm going to right-click and send only to that person, and just to you. I accidentally put the show message outside the loop. Let me go back here real quick, guys. I didn't mean to do this. Sorry about that. Let's make sure we can do this correctly. If the sign then began, yep, that's because I put that here. Let me Control Z that. Copy this because I failed to copy the text, and let's put that inside of here. We'll just do like that. Something like that should do it. Let's go ahead and pop this on over. Pop us on a client. Click on them. Hello to all, hello to selected. Looks beautiful. See that, guys? It's working like a charm. So now, with this client, I'm going to erase everything in here, just so you guys can kind of see what's happening. I'm going to run another client, and another one, and another one. All right, so now the server has multiple clients, right? So let's go ahead and pop over multiple clients. Oh, crap, I did not mean to do that. Sorry about that, guys. This one will look kind of weird because I had another software take control of the GUI, but oh well, whatever. It doesn't matter. We'll just pop this down, pop this over there, make sure this is good. Okay, and then there's that, and we have one more client running over here. So let's say 944. So this guy's in the top left-hand corner. Let's send only to him. And as you can see, nobody else received it, just him, right? So 349, he received it. 957, only he received it, and then only this guy received it. Now, if I broadcast to everyone, they all get hello, right? So if I type, hey man, and then send that. User 944 says, hey man, pretty cool, right? I'll just type a bunch of crap, and then a bunch of crap, and a bunch of crap. And there you have it. All the users can talk to and from the server. And if the user, like 957, so this guy, if he dies out, right? 349, he dies out. 944, let's do 673 is the top guy. So if he goes, boom, he goes, right? And then 944, there you have it. And there you have it. That is how you work with ICS sockets. And guys, I'm so sorry that the tutorial took literally an hour. My God. Always make sure that if you're going to start writing stuff like this, create skeleton projects. That way you don't have to sit here and write all this stuff out. It can be done in literally 2 nanoseconds. But other than that, I hope that you guys learned a lot from this. I hope that now you'll be able to easily get started writing a simple project using ICS sockets for Delphi. For those of you who don't know, they are by a company called Overbyte. So like, whenever you're looking through your stuff, to find them, you're going to be looking for the Overbyte tabs. And there's two tabs. There's Overbyte ICS, and then there's Overbyte SSL, which I'm filtering right now so you guys can't see it. But and basically, you got all kinds of stuff in here. Here, let me try to find. Like, you've got regular sockets, server sockets, you've got multi-threaded server sockets, you've got HTTP clients and servers, you've got multi-part downloaders, FTP servers and clients, you've got SMTP mail sending related stuff. I mean, guys, this guy has thought of everything. You can literally go through this, and if there is any type of protocol that you would like to play with, I guarantee you the guy has probably written something in here for you. I don't even know what these little monitor things. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, these. Oh, Mon PCAP. I bet you these right here can be used to make kind of like your own little firewall-based software if you wanted to. It can monitor socket connections probably. That is really, really crazy stuff, guys. But anyway, at any rate, this is the end. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, definitely to help out the channel. I will be posting more socket tutorials as soon as humanly possible, and I'm sorry it's been a while since I made a video. But anyway, I guess life gets the best of us, right? Anyway, I'll check you guys later. Peace out.